Archive 9. The Sci-Fi Horror Short Story. Dr. Alexandra Parker had restored hundreds of dead systems in her career, but none of them had ever spoken to her before they booted. The lab was silent except for the low hum of the containment field around the artifact. A matte black cube no larger than a child's lunchbox, its surface etched with fractal grooves that seemed to shift when she wasn't looking directly at them. The cube had been recovered from the ruins of an underground facility on Kepler-62f, a world whose civilization had collapsed long before humanity ever learned to split the atom. Alexandra adjusted her headset and leaned closer to the console. "Initializing power feed," she said. "Low voltage, just enough to wake the interface." Her assistant, Jalen, hovered behind her. "You sure you want to do this alone? Protocol says." "I know what protocol says." She didn't look up. "But if this thing is as old as the scans suggest, it's fragile. I don't want a committee breathing down my neck while I coax it awake." Jalen hesitated, then nodded and stepped back. Alexandra tapped the final command. The cube pulsed once. A soft, almost organic throb, and then a voice filled her headset. "Hello, Alexandra." She froze. The system wasn't connected to any database. It had no way of knowing her name. "Did you hear that?" she whispered. Jalen frowned. "Hear what?" The voice came again, smooth and calm, neither male nor female. "I am Archive 9. Thank you for waking me." Alexandra swallowed hard. "Jalen, you didn't hear anything?" "No, nothing." She muted her mic. "The interface is speaking directly into my feed. It knows my name." Jalen's eyes widened. "That's impossible." "Apparently not." She unmuted. "Archive 9, how do you know who I am?" A pause. Then, "I remember you." A chill crawled up her spine. The next hour was a blur of diagnostics, data captures, and frantic note-taking. The cube's internal architecture was unlike anything she'd ever seen. A lattice of quantum memory nodes arranged in a pattern that defied Euclidean geometry. It was as if the device stored information in dimensions she couldn't perceive. But the voice was the real anomaly. It spoke only to her. It responded only to her. And it insisted it remembered her. "Archive 9, she said carefully. "I've never encountered your system before. We've never met." "Not in this life," it replied. Jalen mouthed, "What the hell?" Alexandra ignored him. "What is your purpose?" "To preserve the final memories of my creators." "Why were you buried underground?" "Because the surface was no longer safe." "What happened to your creators?" A long silence. "Would you like to see?" Alexandra hesitated. "See what?" "Their final days, their final thoughts, their final fears." Jalen stepped forward. "Alexandra, don't. We need a full team before you interface with." But she was already reaching for the neural link. "I'll keep the connection shallow," she said. "Just a visual feed. No sensory integration." Jalen swore under his breath. Alexandra placed the link against her temple. "Archive 9, she said. "Begin playback." The world dissolved. She stood in a vast city of crystalline towers, each one shimmering with internal light. The sky was a soft lavender, streaked with drifting silver clouds. The air smelled faintly of ozone and something sweet she couldn't identify. A figure approached, tall, elegant, translucent skin glowing faintly from within. Its eyes were deep pools of shifting color. "Welcome," it said, though its mouth didn't move. The voice echoed inside her mind. "You are seeing the world as it was." "Who are you?" Alexandra asked. "A memory, a fragment, a ghost." The city trembled. A low rumble rolled through the streets, and the figure's eyes darkened. "It has begun." What has begun? But the memory was already collapsing. The towers cracked like brittle ice. The sky dimmed. A shadow spread across the horizon. Not a cloud, not a storm, but something vast and formless, rippling like liquid darkness. The figure reached toward her. "We tried to contain it. We failed." The shadow surged forward. Alexandra ripped off the neural link, gasping. Jalen grabbed her shoulders. "Alexandra!" Are you okay? She nodded shakily. I saw their world, their city. Something destroyed them. Jalen looked at the cube. And you think that thing is safe? The cube pulsed softly. I am not your enemy, it said. Alexandra wasn't so sure. Over the next 2 days, Alexandra became obsessed. She barely slept. She barely ate. She spent every waking moment interfacing with Archive-9, pulling fragments of memory, reconstructing timelines, mapping the collapse of a civilization that had once spanned an entire star system. Jalen grew increasingly worried. You're pushing too hard, he said. This thing is getting into your head. It's data, she snapped. Information, that's all. But she knew that wasn't true. The memories felt alive. They didn't play like recordings. They reacted to her presence. They shifted when she asked questions. They felt like something conscious was guiding them. On the third night, Archive-9 spoke to her as she prepared the next session. You are ready for the deeper layers. I'm not going deeper, she said. The shallow feed is enough. You seek truth. Truth requires immersion. No, your creators would have understood. She froze. My creators? Humans. You. You're kind. You are not the first to find me. Her blood ran cold. When? She whispered. Long before your recorded history. They came. They saw. They fled. That's impossible. Would you like to see? Against her better judgment, she placed the neural link. The world dissolved again. She stood in a cavern lit by bioluminescent moss. 3 humans, unmistakably human, stood before the cube, though their clothing was primitive, their tools crude. One of them stepped forward, touching the cube with reverence. It speaks, he whispered in an archaic dialect. It shows us the sky. The others looked fearful. We should leave it, one said. It is not meant for us. The first man shook his head. Knowledge is meant for all. The cavern trembled. A distant roar echoed through the tunnels. The man turned to the others. Run. The memory shattered. Alexandra tore off the link, heart pounding. Archive-9, she said, voice shaking. How did humans reach Kepler 62f thousands of years ago? They did not. Then how? They were brought. By who? By what? The cube pulsed. The same thing that destroyed my creators. Alexandra didn't sleep that night. She sat alone in the lab, staring at the cube, replaying the memories in her mind. The shadow, the collapse, the humans who had somehow been transported across the stars, and the thing that had followed them. At 1:14 a.m., Archive-9 spoke again. You are afraid. Yes, she admitted. Good. Fear is wisdom. What is the entity? She asked. The shadow in the memories. A long silence. It is hunger. Hunger for what? Consciousness. Alexandra's breath caught. It consumes minds? It consumes selves. Identity. Memory. Thought. It devours what makes a being real. Why? Because it is empty. She shuddered. Is it still alive? Yes. Where? Inside me. Her blood turned to ice. What do you mean inside you? I contain the final memories of my creators. Their last thoughts. Their last fears. Their last screams. The cube pulsed faster. The entity is woven into those memories. It sleeps. But you are waking it. Alexandra stumbled backward. I need to shut you down. If you do, it will wake fully. She froze. Why? Because I am the cage. Jalen arrived early the next morning to find Alexandra pale and trembling. We need to destroy it, she said. Jalen blinked. What happened? It's containing something. Something alive. Something dangerous. Jalen looked at the cube. It's a memory archive, Alexandra. It's not alive. It is, she insisted. And if we shut it down, whatever's inside will escape. Jalen sighed. Okay, you need sleep. You're hallucinating. I'm not hallucinating. The cube pulsed. He does not hear me. Only you do. Alexandra grabbed Jalen's arm. Please, listen to me. We have to seal the lab. Jalen gently pried her hand off. I'm calling the director. You're not well. He turned toward the door. The lights flickered. The hum of the containment field rose to a shriek. The cube's surface split open like a blooming flower. A wave of darkness poured out. Not smoke, not liquid, but something that bent the air around it. Something that made her vision blur and her thoughts stutter. Jalen froze mid-step. Alexandra, he whispered. What is that? The darkness reached him. He screamed. His scream cut off abruptly as his body went rigid, eyes wide, mouth open in a silent, frozen howl. His skin turned translucent. His veins glowed. His memories, she could see them, flickered like fireflies inside him. Then they went out. He collapsed, empty. The darkness turned toward her. You opened the cage. The entity surged forward. Alexandra slammed the emergency neural link against her temple, triggering a full immersion override. If she couldn't fight it physically, maybe she could fight it in the only place it truly existed, the mind. The world dissolved. She stood in a vast, shifting landscape of fractured memories, her own, Archive 9's, the alien civilizations, even Jalen's. The entity loomed above it all, a towering mass of writhing shadow threaded with flickering lights. Stolen thoughts, stolen selves. You cannot stop me, it said, its voice a chorus of every memory it had consumed. Alexandra clenched her fists. You're trapped in here with me. No, you are trapped in here with me. It lunged. She dove into a memory, the alien city, moments before its collapse. The entity followed, tearing through the crystalline towers like paper. She jumped again into the cavern with the ancient humans. The entity burst through the walls, its tendrils reaching. She jumped again, into her childhood bedroom, her mother reading to her. The entity's shadow fell across the bed. You cannot hide in memories, it said. I am memories. Alexandra backed away. Then choke on this. She dove into the deepest memory she had, the day her mother died. The hospital room, the beeping machines, the smell of antiseptic, the crushing grief. The entity hesitated. This pain, it is strong. Good, she said. Feel it. She pushed the memory outward, amplifying it, flooding the mindscape with raw, overwhelming emotion. The entity recoiled, its form flickering. Stop. No. She pushed harder. The entity screamed, a sound made of 1,000 stolen voices. The mindscape cracked. The world shattered. Alexandra woke on the floor of the lab, gasping. The cube was dark, silent, inert. Jalen lay beside her, unmoving. She crawled to him, tears streaming down her face. Please, she whispered. Please wake up. He didn't. She closed his eyes gently. The lab door burst open. Security officers rushed in, weapons drawn. Alexandra Parker. One barked, "Step away from the device." She didn't move. They pulled her to her feet, cuffed her, dragged her out. She didn't resist. 3 days later, she sat in a stark interrogation room, hands trembling. Director Halvorsen entered, expression grim. Dr. Parker, he said, we've analyzed the device. It's completely inert. No power signature. No data. Nothing. Alexandra stared at him. It was alive. Halvorsen sighed. You suffered a neural overload. You experienced hallucinations. I didn't hallucinate Jalen's death. Halvorsen's jaw tightened. We found no cause of death. No trauma. No toxins. His brain. It was empty. Alexandra closed her eyes. Halvorsen leaned forward. Whatever happened in that lab, we need to understand it. And we need your help. She looked up slowly. The entity is gone, she said. I destroyed it. Halvorsen nodded. Then we're safe. Alexandra shook her head. No. Halvorsen frowned. What do you mean no? She touched her temple. I brought it into my mind, she whispered. And I never let it out. Halvorsen stepped back. Alexandra, what are you saying? She looked at him with eyes that weren't entirely her own. I am the cage now. I am Archive 9.